She's all about the member experience.
They are the drivers behind every credit union that you go to. If I could say anything that, any credit union that's actually looking into utilizing AI or automation or looking to incorporate it, definitely embrace the technology.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Credit Union Connection. I have a full house here today with the lovely team from Shastic as well as Atlanta Postal Credit Union. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi there.
I'm just going to give you all a quick second to introduce yourselves. So why don't we start with my upper left, which is Joseariel.
Yes, I'm Joseariel Gomez. I'm the founder and CEO of Shastic. We're an intelligent workflow automation company, and we work with APCU.
And also from Shastic, we have Chief Revenue Officer Mike Laliberti. Did I say that right?
You did. Great job. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Laliberti. I'm here with Shastic as the Chief Revenue Officer.
And then we'll go to our friends at Atlanta Postal Credit Union. We have, I'm going to start in my lower left, which is Amanda Marchese.
Hey, I'm Amanda Marquez.
Yourself.
I am the lending sales manager here at Atlanta Postal Credit Union.
And then we'll go top right, the gentleman from Atlanta Postal. Chris, go ahead.
My name is Chris Snipes, and I'm a consumer loan manager.
And last but not least, also from Atlanta Postal, we have Desiree. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Desiree Hackett. I'm the VP of Consumer Lending at Atlanta Postal Credit Union.
So yeah, welcome everybody. This is the fullest house I've had yet. So should be fun. So I'll start with the gentleman from Shastic. What are some of the common misconceptions of robotic process automation, which is, the core of what you all do, among credit union leaders?
Yeah, so we're chatting about this. I think there's two very common ones. One is the perception that by implementing either RPA or any other kind of automation, it will make the process robotic and less personal. So that kind of comes down to what flavor of workflow automation you implement. RPA is a very rule-based approach. It works great for a lot of things. It's used a lot in areas like accounting for like data entry and retrieval. However, for a lot of financial service processes, like lending, account opening, collections, you run into the situation where every instance of that automation is slightly different than the previous one. So for example, you have to, like, collecting documents, right? So you have to collect documents, but every applicant needs maybe a different kind of document, and it's notated in a different way. And so that makes it really hard for RPA to be used for that. But you have other alternatives, like this is where the intelligent process automation concept comes in. It's blending RPA with things like data, like real-time data analytics and artificial intelligence, to be able to handle that variance consistently. And so it really depends on the approach you take, but that's a very common one that, maybe Desiree, you can share a little more, but we were talking about that one, that a lot of times this is maybe just a general misconception, because a lot of people, what we found is that a lot of institutions have not actually rolled out any kind of workflow automation full-fledged beyond just, again, maybe like an accounting or an IT department. And so there's a lot of the concept that there's a lot of off-the-shelf tools out there for RPA from names that we will all recognize, very big companies. And those are not specialized. They're not really built for financial services. They're more of RPA tools that you can program yourself. So we've heard a lot of people thinking that it's just gonna hog resources. It's gonna be a just like cost prohibitive. And we have heard actually some anecdotes of people that have spent time in their internal IT teams to build and program all these things, and then after they've gotten to a certain scale, not too big actually, they just have to stop because it takes a lot of manpower. But that's because you're trying to use a very strict rule-based approach and tool for something that, again, has some kind of variance, and you have to be able to adapt on the fly. So that would be my two. Do you guys want to add any on the APCU side? That's a reminder, Chris.
I think one of the biggest things, the misconception is, again, it's an RPA, robotic process automation. When you think about that, you think robots and just the same monotonous thing over and over again. And that was one of the biggest hurdles that we had when we were implementing, is that we didn't want to lose touch with the member experience. We didn't want them to feel like they were talking to a robot. But once we kind of embraced the technology and once we started rolling it out and improving it, it was easier for everyone to embrace that, because it made everything so much easier. It was quick and easy, and
And our members don't even realize they're talking to a robot.
nope, they love Ellie. Ellie is a person in their opinion.
So how are you all using it at Atlanta Postal?
We use it for a lot. I think the initial thing is when the member submits the application, they are getting the confirmation that we've received the application and that a representative would be in touch with them shortly. It is assisting us in collecting documents, notifying them that their loan has been funded and completed, just general follow-up on the application. We're using it for a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Anything anybody else from Atlanta Postal would like to add about the capabilities or the benefits that you've seen from RPA?
It's really increased member engagement, and that was actually a big hurdle that we had to jump over, because everybody's moving to text message, everybody's moving to emails. They don't want to talk to anybody on the phone, and calling somebody and leaving them a voicemail, waiting on them to call back is actually, it took hours and hours and hours. I went back and looked, and we've had Ellie, we've had utilized Shastic since we're coming up on 3 years. And over the past 3 years, the average response time back from a member is 4 minutes. It takes them less than 4 minutes or up to 4 minutes to respond to us versus leaving a voicemail and waiting for them to go to lunch 3 hours later. So it's really, really cut down on the time that it takes to process a loan and get things completed, because we're getting answers to questions in less than 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's amazing. And as a former reporter, calling sources and trying to get those responses back, I know exactly what you're talking about when you're up against a deadline. So one of the things that Shastic really dives into with credit unions is the workflow. Explain what you commonly discover among credit unions and what they find. What are some of their aha moments?
So I've started to notice something after, several years that we've been doing this lately, that it's a really interesting pattern. So I'll tell you an anecdote, actually. I hope I don't go off a little too on the side, but so, I read not too long ago that when Henry Ford rolled out the moving manufacturing line, what is it called? The assembly line? Essentially the way that people used to build anything back in the day before that, or cars, is that you had a fixed workstation, and then you had the workers kind of come in with the parts at different points in time, and just they were the ones who were moving, and the product was fixed. And then all he really did from a fundamental level is he just flipped it on his head, and he made the product move, and the people fixed at certain points, right? And it basically gave birth to the age of industrial manufacturing. And so I'm starting to see a very interesting pattern with every single one of our clients that we're implementing this with, where, I'll give you the example, of something we rolled out with APCU called Dot Push. It's a workflow automation that essentially helps to collect and push documents to clear stipulations back into the LOS for lending, for instance, or the system of record. And so what I'm starting to see in a lot of credit unions is that what starts to happen is that instead of the typical process where a loan comes in, it gets submitted by the applicant, then maybe, hopefully 20, 30 minutes later, sometimes it takes longer for an underwriter to look at it. Sometimes it gets instant approved, but very often an underwriter needs to look at it and approve it or deny it. And then it might take more time depends on how busy they are, for the actual processor or the loan officer to grab it and then like really start like understand what's going on and then figure out what they need to get and start reaching out to the prospect. So it could be hours before that process starts. And so what we've done is that we started to request, and in the words of Desiree and Amanda, to prep the prospect for what we're going to need as soon as it starts, as early as we can, as early as maybe the application comes in, or as soon as an underwriter sees it and we know what we're going to need. The platform will automatically identify that, and then it will send a very personalized communication to the applicant and say, hey, we're going to need your proof of income, your proof of ID, whatever it is different every time, right? However, by doing that and just kind of flipping the order, what happens oftentimes is that by the point that the loan officer or the processor touches the loan and is going to get started, instead of having to basically start chasing the member for those things, they might already have 2 out of 3 things that they need. And so it really creates a very interesting, efficiencies in productivity and just not having to chase people and wait and dial like Desiree was saying. So I mean, that's something I've observed because we do a lot of mappings. And so we sit down with the folks that are doing the job and just understand what they're doing and what is the best way to implement this. And that's something that I'm starting to see very clearly. It's starting to repeat and repeat and repeat. And I believe, we've done it with the documents, document collection, because it's probably the #1 bottleneck. But I believe there's a lot of other areas that you can do the same thing, where you just reverse the order of when you do it. And very oftentimes what I hear, I don't know what your experience is, guys, on this at APCU, but I was with a credit union in California not too long ago. And when we were talking about this, what they told me is, well, we thought that the processing really started when the loan officer touched it, right? When he grabbed it and started working it after it's been underwritten. We didn't think about the process starting as soon as the application comes in. And there's a lot of time that you can save there. Mm-hmm. All right, I'll get off my soapbox.
So what have you been seeing at Atlanta Postal, guys?
I'll say that the doc push is probably one of my favorite pieces. Being on the sales side, I mean, time is of the essence. We need these things to go through smoothly and as quickly as possible. So what he said was correct. 9 times out of 10, we're getting this stuff and it's already there to be reviewed, so we can get to that last piece and get the loan completed for the member. So just having the system, asking for those things up front instead of waiting, later to ask for those things, is definitely speeding up the process for us.
And Chris, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was wanting to agree with Amanda and then kind of feed off what Desiree was talking about earlier. Just even coming from the processing side, it allows them to get through that a lot quicker, get those checks out, which it's increased our funding time or made it more efficient for our processing team to get those checks out, to get the loans funded and service those members. And it allows us to handle more applications, knowing that we have what we need before we even touch it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we've talked a lot about a lot of benefits, kind of here and there. Mike, I was wondering, can you succinctly just, what are the key benefits to RPA? And then I'm going to go into some direct specific results with APCU.
Yeah, so some of the definitely the key benefits are really to help augment the process for the mundane tasks. That's one of the biggest things from an RPA. It's taking those repetitive tasks and streamlining them, and allowing the knowledge workers to really focus on the more meaningful tasks at hand, if you will, or sometimes more member facing from that perspective. So that's really key points I would share.
Yeah, so the technology actually gives the front lines team the capacity to be able to be there and be empathetic for each of the members. And so I don't know who from Atlanta Postal would like to comment on this, but just talk a little bit about like the increased capacity, the increased income, from moving loans faster, any feedback from member service, from members on the service they're receiving, because they all of a sudden know exactly the process, where in the process their mortgage is, as well as time savings, things like that you may have tracked.
Yeah, the biggest thing that, I mean, that's easily trackable is the amount of time that it actually takes to get a loan funded. I went back and I pulled some numbers and I was taking a look at it. I mean, it's not volume, obviously that all plays into economics and the environment that we're in, but being able to fund a loan under 24 hours increased about 3 or 4% the first year that we actually had implemented Elle and Shastic and the RPAs. To us, that's a huge win, considering it would take a couple days to be able to get in touch with people. Being Atlanta Postal Credit Union and being seg-based with the postal workers, they're not available during the week most of the time. We're already gone for the day by the time they get home. So actually being able to get those loans done quicker for them before the weekend hits is a really key benefit. That member experience really skyrocketed too, because they can text us. They don't have to call us back or leave a voicemail and wait on somebody to call back. That would be my biggest takeaway, is the efficiency and the amount of time that it cut off our workday just chasing documents and following up with phone calls.
Right. And Amanda, did you have anything to add?
I mean, it's all about the speed, and efficiency of getting back to these people. It's perfect what Desiree said. We are seg-based. Postal workers, what are they doing all day? They're working. So we were going days sometimes without being able to get in touch with these people. And now that is a fraction of the time, because they can just text us right back. So it really has benefited our membership.
Hey, that's right. Oh, sorry.
I was going to see if Chris had anything to add.
I agree with that. Feeding off what Amanda was saying, coming from a processing role, we would call the member and they would be on a route and they would not be able to speak to us. And so being able to send that to them through text has increased efficiency with that and getting back to the members quicker. And it's just improved everything overall in regards to funding an application.
Joseariel, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to ask this here. Do you mind if we share some of the metrics on the dog push that we had?
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So, because we went back and we checked after the last conversation. And so in the case of APCU, we looked at June. And so this is for the workflow. This is just one of the automations that will help it provides a very, very straightforward mechanism to allow the member to send a document from their phone and then push it straight into the system of record. And it will take care of any kind of pre-processing needed, like converting it to PDF or whatever is needed, labeling it. And so for in the case of APCU, for the documents that, or the applications that Elle was assisting with, or the platform, on average, we were able to help collect and push 2.7 documents per loan. And these are consumer loans. And so why I think this is important is because for most consumer loans, that's most of what you need. There might be like a proof of ID, maybe like a vehicle title, or purchase order, maybe proof of insurance. There's usually 2 or 3 things from what I've seen. And so for those that it was assisting with, coming back to what Amanda was saying, it helps to bring the information before they even touch it. And so it saves time. If it takes 2-3 minutes let's say 2 minutes per document, 2.7 documents, let me just do a little bit of napkin math. How many on average, this rate? I think we're at 1,000, right? Loans per month?
Anywhere from that to 12, about 1,000 to 1,200 right now.
Oh, let's say 1,000, right? So if it's 1,000, 2.7 documents, 2 minutes, that's 5,400 minutes saved. Divided by 60 minutes, it's like 90 hours. So just to give you a sense, right? It's hard because we haven't done the exercise of quantifying it. We probably should, but that's why it's significant. They feel it.
What's next at APCU for RPA? Do you have other things in the works, or at least planning, that you're thinking about doing?
So there's a few things that we're looking to do to make it easier for our loan officers too. So to be able to just send all of their information initially, as soon as the application is claimed, shoot off a message to the member. This is your loan officer. This is their phone number. This is their email. How many times do you hear about, somebody calling in, check the status, and I have no idea who I was working with. So that would cut that off in the beginning. They'll have all their contact information sent to them initially. So that's something that we've been working on for a little bit now. So that will be very exciting to have completed.
Yeah. So it'll really also personalize that experience too.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Tech making it more human. So, how about you guys, gentlemen from Shastic? What's anything on the roadmap? Rollouts coming up soon? What kind of secrets are you going to give away right now?
Magic secrets. So, yeah, I'll tell you one more like short to midterm, and then more on the daydreaming. I'll have another one, but so we've already started. We have a few efforts internally just on the R&D side for something called intelligent document processing, which is essentially right now, like going back to that automation for doc push, where we will help to collect the document, will help to make some basic transformations like converting the format, maybe slicing the size, things like that, just to fit it into the system of record and then upload it. However, we're looking to go beyond that, and right now, especially with all of the new tools that are available with AI, generative AI, and things like that, being able to extract the contents of the document, understand what they are, and then drive the next step in the process from there. Because a lot of what we found is that and this is not just the classic departments like lending and account opening, but really a lot of financial service processing or back office processes are very document driven. Mm-hmm. So we feel like this could be big in terms of impact for our institutions.
Absolutely. And recognizing that certain fields that are required aren't filled out and that kind of stuff. And then not having the team have to chase those people down for those particular.
That or just like recognizing that maybe the document they send doesn't match the information we have and flagging.
Or blurry.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's one that we got someone going internal R&D on that, and it's looking really promising. So we got some focus on that. More on the, like I said, the daydreaming side, and this is, take it with a grain of salt, right? Because I don't know what the future holds, but we're very excited about generative AI, just because it just we've done some internal experiments, and the results are incredible. And we're able to, the trick about that is you got to be able to make it consistent, right? And so we have some good results in terms of consistency already. We're not really near close to even thinking about like when can we roll this out. Also because the space is changing so fast every week. I feel like I see a new AI model coming out that is going to take over the world. That said, though, I do believe that we will be able to at some point in the future have an offering that allows to automate with a really high degree of personalization the process of conducting very, very narrow interviews for things like, there's some information in the application that is not quite clear and we need to clarify it with the applicant, or so anything like that, and just be able to conduct that very, very narrow interview, not for the purpose of, what's your favorite thing to do on a weekend, but more for like, okay, so we received this information, can you clarify this and maybe tell me this, what about this? And that I think that'll be amazing. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's scary. I follow generative AI too, very quick, a lot because of the writing implications. But yeah, it has scary promise. Good scary.
Yeah. Scary awesome.
yeah, for sure. So I tend to offer everybody final thoughts they'd like to add at the end of these interviews. I'm going to let's start backwards. I think from Chris, I may start with you. Any final thoughts?
We love Shastic. It's been great for our process. Kind of going back to like Desiree said, It doesn't even feel like a robot with the interactions with the members. And it's it's helped our teams greatly here at Atlanta Postal.
Yeah. And Desiree, go to you next.
Well, like I was literally gonna say that, you know, the big thing is my members experience.
She's all about the member experience.
Yeah, I mean that they are the drivers behind every credit union that you go to. If I could say anything that, you know, any credit union that's actually looking into utilizing AI or automation or looking to incorporate it, definitely embrace the technology and really put your thinking caps on and figure out things that you were manually doing. And everything that we were manually doing, Elle now handles, and it's all with the application initiation. The second that they apply, Elle starts working, and she starts texting, and she starts document gathering, and we haven't even touched the application yet. And by the time we get it, we're ready to go half the time. So I really encourage anyone that's thinking about it to really look into it and really tap into the technology and utilize it to the fullest.
And Mike, you're next on my screen.
Sure, no problem. I think for me, for my final thought is, you know, we kind of touched upon it earlier. It's automation. You know, some folks are a little leery to get into the space, and you have to embrace it and jump in. But one of the things I would like to share is you don't have to go 100, 110% in. I use the orange concentrate story all the time. How much water do you want to put into the orange concentrate? You can put a little bit, or you can put a lot, and that holds true with RPA. You can start off small with a very simple task, and then you can build off of that and continue to grow the model. So that's what I like to share. And again, thank you APCU for attending today.
Yeah, and speaking of APCU, last on the agenda for APCU is Amanda. Any final thoughts from you?
Just, anything that will improve our member experience and the ease of communication to make things easier for the member. I mean, it's fantastic that it makes things easier for us, but it also makes things a lot easier on them. And this has truly helped us achieve that. It has really improved the member experience overall for us.
Yeah, certainly something credit unions focus on. And last but not least, Joseariel, your final thoughts. How many can we keep you to 30 seconds?
Yes. Okay. I mean, automation is in vogue. Everywhere I go, that's the conversation. Usually somehow it comes up. I really think it's the next big wave in digital transformation for any organization, not just financial institutions, but certainly in our space as well. And maybe just to echo what some of you guys said before, the sooner you start, the smoother your adoption curve will be. You'll have more time for your teams to adapt. You'll have more time to tweak it to your specific way of working. And the results that we're seeing in terms of efficiencies and productivity and the improved member experience are very clear, very strong. You gotta make sure you follow. I would recommend going through the intelligent approach, not the robotic, because it's a little more flexible. The good news is that now you can have both, right? You can have the speed and the efficiency and less manual mistakes, hopefully, and exceptions, without sacrificing actually improving your engagement and your experience for members.
Absolutely. Perfect roundup. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.